introduce our guest, Sansel, a friend of the stream, been a friend of the stream since the OG days. Okay. So Sansel, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, buddy?
Hey, yeah, I'm Sansol. I like to talk about politics a whole lot. I'm a political science student. I've been a political science student for way too long. I am currently living in the DC area, moved from Texas not too long ago. So, yeah, I like to talk about a little bit of everything. I like to argue with people. I've been a lot less capable of arguing with people recently because I get pretty angry because the world kind of sucks, but here we are.
Absolutely. And for anybody who is watching this on Sansol stream, my name is the Vince Wilson Show, formerly the Doghouse Show. I am a reformed MAGA who unfortunately voted for Donald Trump in 16 and definitely, unfortunately, 20. However, I voted for Kamala Harris and Colin Allred this election. I have been doing mainly TikTok, it seems like since early last year or end of last year. And then I've been doing some regular YouTube content on and off over this year. It's been really difficult with me having travel and everything else. It makes it extremely difficult. But now I am doing a lot of news content. I'm covering a lot of news. If y'all are familiar with Pondering Politics, I would like to say my content is more kind of aligned with what he does, or you could talk about, what's that other guy that I can't think of the name? Brian Tyler Cohen, I think is his name. That guy there. So I do a lot of that kind of content. And we do really well. We do a lot of YouTube short streamings and things like that. But without further ado, let's get into it. So Sansol, I'll let you be the guest and I'll let you pick. The topics that we're going to talk about tonight are going to be Epstein, MAGA, or Donald Trump's policies, economic policies more specifically. And then there's the fun YouTube content that I despise with a burning passion, but you dive all the sorts into. It's the Destiny, Pisco, Hutch, Hassan drama. I'll let you pick and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I think that we can finish with the drama stuff because for me, I think that there is a actual political conversation there because the drama stuff is stuff that I don't talk about anymore. But the actual should we be friendly or appeal to socialists? I think that that's an interesting conversation to have. But let's just start with let's start with Ghislaine Maxwell asking for a pardon and all that. Has there been any updates today?
There's not been any today, but I would ask that you stop calling her Ghislaine Maxwell and call her Ghislaine Maxwell. That would be preferred. Her actual name is Ghislaine, not Ghislaine. That's totally inappropriate given all of the accusations that have been levied. But no, there hasn't been a whole lot going on. So some of the stuff that we have seen recently is that there is a pardon potentially on the table. The Supreme Court, I believe today, said that they are looking to potentially look into her case in September regarding a potential pardon or any kind of deal that may be struck. But it's important to note too, I don't know how much you've kept up with this or not. This whole entire thing about Ghislaine Maxwell is 110% a diversion. So they've thrown everything at the wall they possibly can, right? They've been throwing the idea of an Obama conspiracy. They're now trying to gaslight the American people into saying that the Democrats are trying to cover up for the Obama scandal. And Ghislaine Maxwell is exactly that as well. So...
Yeah. So I started writing a Substack about this, but it kind of got away from me because just more and more information and news came out. And I think that the ultimate thing here for me is, have you noticed a lot of liberals? I mean, obviously, liberals are fucking having a field day with this shit. I've been having a field day with it. It has been a nice distraction from the total destruction of my country. But the thing that I don't like is liberals kind of diving into the conspiracy theory itself, right? Are there any parts of this that are now more conspiratorial to you now than they were before, or do you have a more grounded view?
I feel like I have a grounded view. So I actually discussed this today on TikTok. Another thing I do, which is actually pretty pleasant, not to go off on a side note, but I know you were around when we had the OG Twitch poll days, and the TikTok space reminds me a whole lot of the old school Twitch poll space, right? There's a lot of normies who don't really have super crazy economic philosophy thoughts, right? They're pretty normal. And I had this conversation with somebody today about this, and they kept trying to levy this, saying, you're making accusations. I said, no, hold up. I'm not making accusations on Donald Trump. We don't know what's in those files. But what has sparked or piqued a lot of people's, especially liberals, curiosity is you keep trying to cover it up. And now we want to know. When you try to cover something up, it makes people want to know more, right? Why are you covering up? Now, it was alleged they were trying to cover it up prior to Trump. That was the whole reason why the right was like, we want to see the files. Why are you hiding the files? And then it like flipped the moment that Donald Trump was the one who openly came out and said he's trying to hide these files. And so I think that's what's kind of doing it is that, look, we're not levying accusations. We're saying we see you very explicitly trying to cover up for Epstein, and we want to know, why are you trying to cover up? And the more you double down, the more we are starting to wonder if your name is not just in the files, but if you're potentially implicated in some form or fashion. And that's why we're curious, because and we heard for the past 4 years about, God forbid, Biden sniffing somebody's hair, but yet the Republicans and right are quiet. I know it's been said a million times, but could you just imagine for just a second if Biden was the one in Trump's seat right now? Holy hell.
Yep. It would be cataclysmic. But this is the thing, is every single person in the country has a very, very legitimate reason for being mad about the Epstein situation as it is right now. If you're a conservative, if you're a true MAGA person, look at Trump, look at all the people around him. Look at the people that he put into power. They made their careers. They made money off of you. They made their careers off of your attention by talking about this Epstein stuff, right? And this is, if there are conservatives in chat, I'm preaching to the choir, right? Like, you guys know, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, they had their podcasts. They became millionaires off of this, off of you guys. And now they're telling you to shut the fuck up about it. Donald Trump, he kept on teasing that maybe he'd be okay with it, and maybe he wouldn't be okay with releasing the Epstein files. And now he's telling you to shut the fuck up about it. Same thing with Pam Bondi. Same thing with JD Vance. They are talking to you like you are their bitches. Here, this is something that absolutely blows my fucking mind, okay? This is what is so absolutely fucking infuriating, is I understand the psychology here a little bit more now. For years we've heard people say liberals, they look down their coastal elite noses at us, right? Oh, these people, they just don't understand middle America, right? They just don't fucking understand middle America. They don't like their voters. They hate their voters. Look at how they talk to you. They fucking hate you. And now their guys are in charge, and they're doing it so much more explicitly than anything had ever been done by the Democrats in my entire living memory.
Right. No, I mean, you're 100% right. And that's just it. It's like they've completely gone hypocritical on all of this. We see them now all of a sudden covering for a predator, a child predator at that, which is absolutely disgusting. And I've seen, and even it's happening in my comments at this very moment, which it's going to get even crazier as the night goes on. I don't care who is even implicated in these files. Let's be very clear here. I don't care if it's right, left, or center. I've actually heard, which is crazy to me, them say, well, there could be very powerful people on the list. Good. I don't care. Yeah. I don't care if it brings down everybody. I don't care. Release the files. Well, some people may not be.
That's the refrain that we heard from them this entire time since 2019. Release the files. I don't give a fuck if there's a conservative, if there's a Republican. Release the files. They're the elites. I've heard that exact same fucking line from every single conservative I've ever interacted with on the internet.
Yeah, and I mean, that's kind of my issue, right? Is that you have a lot of these conservatives right now that are trying to come up and trying to find a talking point. And I've heard, and I'm curious your standpoint on this, I've heard some of the people on the left cheer for this, and this is to go back to your earlier question about, what is going on with the left. I've seen a lot of them take this as if it's going to be some kind of way for MAGA to crumble. And my position on this is that MAGA is not going away. MAGA is an ideology that right now is centered around Donald Trump. But rest assured that if Donald Trump were to leave the party, because it will happen in 2028 or earlier, whatever happens, whether it be the 25th Amendment or whatever, right? They're going to find a new leader. And what I suspect, and I've seen this, we've seen this with Rob Noor, we've seen this with a few other people. I'm going to name drop a few names, okay? We've seen where they'll try to find the most glaringly obvious, easy dub to sit there and say, I've got see, I don't hate Donald Trump. I criticized him here. So there are some conservatives right now pointing to this, saying, I don't support Trump. I don't like how he's handling Epstein. Congratulations. I'm so proud 100%. Of you. But they don't want to sit there when it actually comes time to actually pay the Pied Piper on something that's way less obvious in the news. You don't want it. You'll cover for Trump. And it's also the same one. When I was talking about the leaders, that's the same way that they handled Vivek Ramaswamy. We saw them. He was a MAGA light. That's what's going to happen. And then that's what they're going to use. I saw so many conservatives that do this go, I never voted for Trump. I would have rather have had Vivek Ramaswamy. Well, then who did you vote for? Well, I voted for Trump.
Who'd you vote for at the end? Yeah, who'd you vote for in the end?
You could have voted a libertarian, but you voted for Trump. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on if this is the end of the MAGA party with the Epstein files, or if this is just a bump in the road.
I mean, it's certainly not the end of MAGA, and it's much bigger than a bump in the road. I think that the reason that this is such a massive thing, this has been going on, this is probably, to my knowledge, the longest news cycle, negative news cycle for Trump in the past 10 years. It's insane, right?
Right.
So I don't think that MAGA is going away anytime soon, but this is something that cuts down to the core of MAGA. It cuts down, and I say MAGA, it's just the anti-establishment people. It cuts down to the core of that whole anti-Democrat coalition that they have, because it's not even all Republicans. But it was all built around trust, right? And it was, Donald Trump is the guy that you can trust because he tells it like it is. He's not fucking, he might lie because he's just, he's that kind of guy, but he's gonna do the right thing at the end of the day, but this is very directly going against that. Every single day he speaks, every single day he goes out there and gives another little morsel for the media to bite when he goes out there and contradicts something that the people were focus grouping to try and get this under control. It's cutting into the very idea that they got their guys in control. Now it's just, well, at least it's not the fucking Dems. So the enthusiasm is what's gone, I think.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. And I think that's what's going on right now is there's a lot of people, like you said earlier, a lot of these MAGA pundits who ran on it. And I heard this argument too. They'll say, well, Trump didn't run on it. He kind of did. He gave a couple of interviews.
He absolutely did.
Yeah, there's quite a few interviews. I think there's a few speeches where he mentioned it. And the one argument I've heard, and I know I'm shadowboxing a little bit, is when they sit there and say, for example, that, well, it's not an Agenda 47. Well, there's a lot of campaign promises that he made on the campaign trail that are not an Agenda 47. Conveniently, though, a lot of those are in Project 2025. But I think that this Epstein case right now is getting more and more. It's the more that he keeps going on about it, he makes it worse. For example, I don't know if
quick, I just want to add in. I just want to add into something that you were saying there. You were talking about Trump and being something that he campaigned on. Which, number one, I would fucking fight anyone on that. I would die on that hill. He did. He might have caveated twice in 2 interviews, but in a third interview, he absolutely said, "Yeah, I would release him." And even then, it's not just Trump that's part of this administration. JD Vance. What is it? 4, 5 fucking podcast clips that I've seen of him saying we need to release the Epstein files. How many fucking hours and hours and hours of Dan Bongino and Kash Patel? So it's yeah, Trump obviously has provably lied multiple times throughout just the past 3 weeks about this. But like, don't let those motherfuckers off the hook. Sorry to interrupt you, but yeah.
You're good. Hey, real quick, we got 53 people in here right now. Please do me a huge solid favor for everybody who is watching. Please hit that like, subscribe, notification bell if you haven't already. If you're watching this on Twitter or if you're watching this on Twitch, please follow me, drop a comment. We'd love to hear from you guys. I am reading some of you guys' chats. I will try to address them intermittently. I've seen Wilfredo, welcome in. Barbara as well, welcome back in. I believe you've been in here before. And I will get to you.
I'm not reading your chats. I'm too blind and you guys are too stupid.
Listen,
Sorry.
No, it's perfectly fine. There is something I've done to trigger MAGA and they come in full force. Okay. But the tides are turning. I will say the tides are turning. I've seen quite a few more people in here that are on the left. I want to kind of move this a little bit forward here.
Sure.
Have you, so to go back to the earlier conversation about socialists, and I have to ask, and we're going to dabble a little bit into the drama space here.
Sure.
Do you think that there is a space on the left for communists or socialists or Marxists? What is your take on all that going on right now?
No, with a caveat. The broad answer is no, because I used to be a socialist. I know about socialism. Socialism is not a good thing. But here's the caveat. Man, there are a lot of people that call themselves communists that do not fall into the category of communists that people talk about. I wish they didn't call themselves communists or socialists or whatever the fuck they call themselves. But at the end of the day, their ideology does not line up with socialism. Their ideology does not line up with communism whatsoever. So I think that there are people that describe themselves as socialists that should be appealed to. These are people that are broadly progressive, right? These are the people that fought and died on the hill of $15 minimum wage, that really want single payer healthcare. Those sorts of people we should absolutely be appealing to. Anyone that wants to start talking about decommodifying all fucking goods, fuck them.
Yeah. So Sansol, I want to say this too, because I know I got some trolls in my chat, but I will say I don't know how monetization works, and I know you are a sailor that drinks rum every second you get a chance.
Oh, I will. I'll slow it down. Sorry.
There you go. Yeah, I will say, because I don't know how sensitive monetization is or the algorithm, and I'm not saying this more so for the chat. I was thinking about it earlier, but no, I will say, like, the idea of whether or not there's a space for communists in our party, I've thought about this in depth, right? And I think for me, what it is that there is, just like we would be upset with Donald Trump on the right and how he has done, the authoritarian left is just as bad, and we should shun them as much as possible. They are a small minority of the left. There is a small minority of the left, but we should also be able to condemn them just as much, right? Because unfortunately, they're a small but very loud minority. And that's what concerns me, is that we could sit there and do 15 feet forward, and then it takes one time for someone on the left to say something stupid, namely Hassan, whatever it may be, and then all of a sudden now all that progress has just been wheeled back, because now the normies are like, whoa, I didn't sign up for that. And so I thought with this drama here in it between Pisco and Destiny, I have my personal qualms with all of this, namely to the fact that I don't like the fact that a lot of our online politics has devolved into this. Now, I understand that from what I've listened to and read, they argue this is coalition building. I don't see how it is. I call it drama farming. And what I believe they're doing is, and I get it, it pays. I'm not saying that some people are doing this to get paid. And I know I'm throwing a lot of darts. But when there's big news going on about what's going on in our world with Epstein, with the fact that the economy came out, we just saw a 3% GDP increase, but nobody's covering that. Nobody's covering why it's 3%, right? Everyone else is worried about the Hassan and Destiny drama, and that's fine. There's absolutely space for it, by all means. But if you really want to try to coalesce and try to get around the issues, let's focus on the issues. Let's not focus on what so-and-so said over here on another area. But as far as where there's communists and the party, anytime one of them steps out of line, we absolutely should condemn them, openly condemn them, and say, whoa, 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 whoa. That's not what the left stands for. We're not here. That's not going to get us forward. That's not the pragmatic solution. We should call it out where it is. Now, I may have a lot of people in my chat that absolutely are in this, in the chat that may be communist or whatever, and that's perfectly fine. Okay. But it concerns me with the direction that we are going. And I want us to make sure we have the best chance that we have at winning in 2028. Okay. And again, I want you to be I want to be real clear just so my chat. So where, if you haven't already figured out, I am a liberal. I am not someone who is progressive, at least quite yet. I feel like the more that Trump gets crazy, the more I want to move further left. But yeah.
So for people in your chat, people in my chat know who I am, but like, listen, I used to be a socialist. I'm very progressive still. I describe myself a lot as a neoliberal, but honestly, the thing that would probably fit me best is social democrat. If you look at any of the social democratic countries, I like a lot of their wealth management funds. If you like econs, but it's very hard as someone that has talked about and talked to and been in the circles of political extremists, right, arguing against extremists on the right, like Sieg Heiling, people, monetization. I saved myself there, saved you. But like, you talk to these people and damn, you know what? You're trying to save myself from the monetization killed my train of thought. I was talking about how talking to these people. You can tell a difference. You can tell a difference in what they want from the world, which is why, like, by and large, I don't give a fuck about socialists. I used to fight with them a lot because I was a socialist. Socialists fucking fight each other. I will talk slower to curse less. So we fight. So socialists fight like crazy. But like ultimately, I understand by and large socialists have a better character and at least better intent behind what they want for the world. Right? They might be really stupid about going about it. And there are socialists or communists that I would consider as bad as Nazis or any of those people. It is a spectrum, but at the end of the day, when it comes to what democratic strategy should be, man, socialists are not enough of the voting bloc to really appeal to unless you're just going to broadly appeal to progressives. And at that point, like, yeah, the communists and the socialists will probably vote for you too, by and large.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things I had heard too. When I was getting into arguments on TikTok about this, it actually got brought up. It's permeated into the TikTok ecosystem on TikTok politics. And one of the things that they were saying is that somebody mentioned that the far left will not vote for a moderate candidate. We saw this play out in the election in 2024. We saw a lot of people. I can't remember the name of that particular group. There was a group that was like, I'm not voting for Kamala Harris unless she supports Palestine. There was one of those groups, not undecided. Can't remember the name of it, but they said, we're not going to vote for that. Right. And undecided, I forgot the hell it's called now. Now it's going to bother me. But anyways, they didn't want to vote for them. And this is the problem I have is like, we need people who are going to come out, who are going to vote. And this is why I've said that 2028, we need to focus on the core leftist policies, stuff that is populist on the left, but maybe not to the extent of obviously communist policies or any kind of like, maybe we can get some socialism in there, but that's a little too far for me, right? There's some things that are basic. I've argued this, right? For example, we can talk about increasing the minimum wage. All down for that, right? We could talk about, for example, going in and finding a public option at the very least, right? Which we already kind of have that, but having something along those lines where we're bolstering that. Start with the easy stuff. Don't come in trying to like say we want to have like, listen, I know I'm gonna have a lot of disagreement in my chat on this, and that's totally cool. But don't come out. You got to ease into it. You can't just throw something at people and then they're gonna be immediately turned off. A lot of the liberals are like center left, right? They're not somebody who is gonna be super open to some of that. And I want to address some of my chat real quick. By the way, guys, we got 53 people in here. Please hit that like, subscribe, notification bell if you haven't already. Let me address some of the chat real quick. Mitzi said they're helping a war criminal. I believe you're saying the Democrats, in which case you're making my point for me. I'm assuming you're particularly talking about Bibi. And if you are, or not Bibi, I don't know what the name is, so forgive me. Okay. I don't really talk about the Israel and Palestine.
Bibi is his nickname.
Nickname? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, forgive me.
People call him. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah.
So I'm assuming you're talking about him. And this is the precise reason why I have an issue, right? We have to worry about what we need to work on is just trying to do whatever we can. Yo, Bones of Doom, thank you for that follow. We have to work on what we on trying to coalesce around an issue, and I think the fact that the far left does not want to vote for the liberal candidate is extremely concerning. And then what they do is they're going to make a comment about why that particular individual is. All they're doing is sowing the seeds of division, right? You don't know the name yet. You have strong opinions. Aaron Levy. So first of all, I don't know his name. I know his name. I don't know the entirety of why they call him Bibi or anything like that. I've already said, and I'm willing to admit, I'm not super strong on the Israel and Palestine conflict, which is why I don't give much of an opinion on that. However, I can forgive a descriptive claim as to what I have witnessed, which is the fact that there are people on the left who did not vote for Kamala Harris because of the fact that she was for a two-state solution. That was what she had said, because she ran the middle of the road, and she did incredibly well, despite what some people may think and what the far left may say. She did incredibly well, all things considered, and had that far left, who is so vocal about all the wrongs of the libs, had they came out and voted, guess what? We wouldn't have a Trump. There was only about a 1% margin. And we saw places like Dearborn, Michigan, for example, where the largest, I think it was one of the largest Muslim sects or whatever it is, sat there and didn't want to come out and vote for Kamala because they said Trump's our guy, and they put out a letter saying Trump. You said this is the crazy thing about this. I forgot which group it was in Dearborn, Michigan that said this. It was a certain group or whatever, and they were like, Trump, we hope you will honor your promises. Guess what? Trump said, get rid of Gaza. Good job, far left. You just brought Trump into office. So again, we have to understand that this is the actual real world consequences of sitting there and actually sitting on your hands. I'll let you go ahead and talk, Sanso. I've been talking for a bit.
No, you're fine. I think, there's this conversation that we used to have a lot, especially, around the 2020 election. And it was like harm reduction versus accelerationism. Should we just give them another 4 years of Trump, make it get real bad so that people really want a hardcore, like left-leaning Dem or hardcore progressive or hardcore leftist,
I want to pause you for a quick second because someone said this in chat, and I think it's super, super important for me to pull this up. Hold your thought, and I probably just derailed you completely, and I apologize if I did.
No, I got it. I still got it.
Okay, keep it up there. So someone said, she refused to articulate a policy on Gaza. This is 7 sacraments of health, which is hilarious. Here's a statement from Vice President Kamala Harris on January 15th of 2025. Now, granted, it wasn't on the campaign trail, but here is her statement. And this is the very end of the paragraph. While there is more work to be done, I believe this agreement can be the foundation on which we build towards, guess what? A two-state solution. Kamala Harris has been.
It's not going to appeal to a lot of people who are.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, okay.
I get that. I get that. And that's kind of my issue with this. It's either you take Kamala Harris, who's for a two-state solution, or you take Donald Trump, because that's in essence what you're doing. You can vote for a third-party candidate, but you vote for a third-party candidate, you're all but essentially sitting there voting for Trump. Right. So look, you got to come up with a solution. I don't know if you disagree with me, and if you disagree, by all means.
No, it's not. I agree with what you're saying. This is just like the concept behind it. It's like we used to have this conversation, and I remember Vosh and Destiny and all these people have this conversation about should we vote for Donald Trump or should we just allow Trump to win, or and I like at the end of the day, if I'm going to make this argument. Fuck. This is what I said back when I was a socialist, and this is honestly, if you're a socialist, this is the best way to appeal to you. And I do believe this. I think that if you don't want to do the harm reduction stuff, that's fine. I'm a white guy. I'm 6'1". I'm handsome. All right. I got a decent, okay job. All right. And I'm going to be fine. But I don't like, am I going to make that decision for all the people that are going to get fucked by sorry, but they're going to get absolutely destroyed by this administration, you know? Like I'm sorry, but I do care about those people, and my personal moral feeling on one issue doesn't outweigh all those other things. I do think that there's a generational issue or wrong happening in Gaza right now. And I understand the passion behind it. But also, holy heck, guys. Like
You're losing your train of thought.
there's no.
Oh, okay.
I try not to curse. Holy heck, guys. Like I do think about like maybe I'm getting old, you know, I'm turning 30 this year. So maybe I'm getting old and I'm completely disillusioned with it. But like, yeah, I do want the least bad to happen. Even if bad is going to happen, I want the least bad to happen. And I don't know quite how to sell that to people, you know?
Yeah, I mean, again, I want to kind of move this a little forward off the topic because I feel like we've beaten it into the ground. On the topic of Trump, I think one of the things talking about foreign policy and everything else is, have you been keeping up to date with all of Donald Trump's economic policies and his trade things and everything else going on with that? Have you seen what's going on with all of it?
I mean, as much as I can, because he keeps on going back and forth and all over the fucking place with it. So, like, I mean, I just genuinely don't know where we're at. My understanding is right now, with the tariffs, they're announcing preliminary agreements that are with the EU, I think Thailand, maybe Vietnam, not China. Yeah, I think that's about all I know. I think that they threatened to uh, have all of the tariffs revert back to the April 1st tariff rate, but they're moving that deadline back. Do I got it mostly right?
You got it mostly right. So basically what's going on right now is Donald Trump has allegedly struck a deal with the EU, UK, Japan, and I think Vietnam, if I'm not mistaken. But a lot of these deals are not on paper, and a lot of them are not binding. So the problem is that a lot of these countries realize they're not binding and that Donald Trump is doing diplomacy through Truth Social. And so what they're doing is they're going in and saying, well, guess what? If you're going to do it through Truth Social, we'll do it as well. And so what they'll do is they'll dispute one of Donald Trump's claims because it's not binding. And they'll say, guess what? Yes, there will be a 90-10 split, but it's on our terms. So maybe there's an investment that Japan wants to do, right? That could change that split. It could be 90% Japan's favor and 10% US's favor. That $550 billion investment fund that they keep talking about over and over and over and over again. Yeah, that's not entirely correct either. That's not like Japan just giving money to the US. It's going into an investment fund, in which, by the way, they're saying that can also be subject to approval. And a lot of that is dependent upon the U.S. to actually allocate those funds to particular investment projects. I'll tie this in here. I've seen somebody in chat already mention, for example, 3% GDP. Let it be known that, again, if MAGA, or 3%, yeah, three increase, whatever. So the problem with that is, okay, nobody looks into this. You can find that the investments in the U.S. for the second quarter declined. Investments in the U.S. declined for the second quarter. Jobs, by the way, and this is on my TikTok, selfish plug. You can go check it out. It's a great video. I did a pretty deep 2-minute quick economic dive. It's also on YouTube Shorts. You can actually find where the jobs, there was 147,000 jobs that were created. Yeah, guess what? Those were all, like 70,000 of them were in government. 43,000 were in healthcare. The blue collar jobs like mining, oil and gas, manufacturing, all that, guess what? Stagnated. Imports are down. So what Donald Trump is doing is he's seeing all these crazy numbers. Oh, we got $150 billion in tariffs. Yeah, guess what? You, the consumer, are going to have to pay for that $150 billion in revenue. So that's where we're at right now, is with this 3% GDP growth that is wholly being levied, by the way, right now because of the fact that imports massively declined. Okay. So I think it's artificially inflated. I think there's a lot of issues with the way that they are handling these things. And again, when we look at Donald Trump's economy, it's very misleading. And what I suspect is that in this third quarter or fourth quarter, we're going to see a pretty massive decline.
Yeah, there's a couple of data points that I know. I don't know the numbers offhand. I know the shapes of the graphs because I've been at work. Okay,
It's okay.
But, yeah, but the two numbers that or the two things that I know are imports are absolutely cratering. Import or exports are declining significantly. They're not cratering as bad as imports are. But what that means is, if you look at this map or this graph, you see all of the consumption is largely, stable for the past 5 years, and then Trump gets in office and it freaking skyrockets and just hits this unbelievable zenith in May. And then it just craters, which means that all of the goods that we're paying for right now, that was the initial like low-level tariffs that they were buying and stocking up with all of these goods throughout the year. And we're going to start to see all the goods that they've continued to buy through the tariff issues. So now the prices in the next month or two ought to start seeing an increase in stores like Walmart and Target, stuff like that. So that's what I know about the economy. Did you see that Josh Hawley introduced some legislation?
I sure did.
Yeah, the stupid $600, like what is so unbelievably boggling about all of this. You're absolutely torturing
I'm enjoying
me. You know
this.
What?
I'm enjoying every bit of it.
Bro, you became a dad and then you started talking clean, and I have to sit here. All right. So
you can do it.
Let's see.
I have faith in you, sir.
What's so mind-boggling is all of for anyone that cares about econ, that likes economics, or that cares about these issues in general, there's a lot of contradictory goals and actions and statements the entire time the past year, or the past 6 months. It's felt so much longer, but so many contradictory statements back and forth. And we want to bring back manufacturing, but then we also want to make it to where nobody wants to buy from us because all of their goods are tariffed from us. So we're not going to be selling to them because they're not going to want to buy our stuff because their companies are at a disadvantage. So like that's contradictory. But like we have these tariffs in place now, and what is $150 billion of revenue of our tax money that they've just collected. And now these microcephalic idiots. I'm sorry. I'll talk third grade. Okay. I tried to be clever for a second.
You would do terrible on TikTok. Idiots, I'm just saying.
There's a reason I'm not there. So
you were saying 150 billion. You were saying 150 billion dollars.
Yeah, 150 billion dollars. Now Josh Hawley introduces legislation, a tariff rebate. Guys, we just passed the big beautiful bill. We just increased our expenditure by like $2 trillion while slashing all of the money that it's like you go out and you apply for another credit card on top of all of the other credit cards that you've already maxed out, which wouldn't be a problem, except you also quit your job for no reason. Like, again, I don't like to make this argument that we should care about the debt because I don't think we should have to, because we're a wealthy nation and we make money, okay? But the problem is when you don't make more money than the interest is accruing, then you go bankrupt. And now the only mechanism by which this government wants to collect any revenue whatsoever, any revenue whatsoever, they just want to give it back.
Yeah, I mean, there's a very simple solution, right? Like, this is the funny thing. I thought this was hilarious. So they did the big, beautiful bill, right? And they extended the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act just recently. And I keep telling people, I think there was a new estimate I saw, by the way, out there where that said about over the course of 2025 or 2026, one of the two, the average American will end up having to spend an extra $2,400. Let me put this in perspective for a lot of people. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act for the lowest income earners, you really only saved maybe at most like a couple $100 on your taxes because of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. The percentage by which you are saving is higher because the denominator is smaller. The largest earners saw a $600,000 decrease in their taxes because of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Guess who's going to have to eat that $2,400 cost? Any gains you may have seen from the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act is about to be wiped clean completely. You're not going to have that anymore. That's gone. That's essentially what's going on right now. I want to take this moment real quick before we continue. We got 90 people watching. Holy cow. Thank you so much, guys. Please do me a huge favor. Hit that like, subscribe, notification bell if you have not already. It pushes us further in the algorithm. If you're watching on Twitch or Twitter, please follow me and hit a like if you're on Twitter. The thing about this is that Josh Hawley has proposed it was a $600 tariff rebate check to Americans, but allegedly not to Biden voters. Don't know how they're going to do that, right? And remind you guys, I haven't
heard that part.
Yeah, there's a video. Let me see if I can play the audio for you real quick. I don't know.
From us to them.
Let's see.
So this is not going to the hedge funds, man.
I don't know if you can hear that audio. Can you hear that audio, Sansol?
Very, very faintly, but if you play it, I'll listen.
Okay.
Have hedge fund managers or all the Biden voters. This is not going to the Wall Street kingpins. They don't need any of it. This is going to the Trump blue collar voters, the people who Joe Biden crushed, the people who didn't get a raise under Joe Biden for 4 long years, the people who cannot afford their gas because Joe Biden shut down our energy, who can't afford their.
Are most wealth fund actually, you know what? That might be a new thing to take into account. I would normally associate hedge fund managers with being Republicans, and I still would. But you know what? The more education you have, the more likely you are to be a Democrat. And there's a lot of finance bros who are probably not super happy with Trump right now. So, like, I don't know. Hey, do you mind if I step away for just like 1 second?
All right, 1 second, guys. Count down. Everybody in chat, start counting every time he's late. All right. No, guys, so I'll take this moment. I'll talk with you guys. Yeah, I think the interesting thing about this is that I'll kind of go over a little bit of the news with you guys for today. There wasn't a whole lot, and over the weekend we did have a lot of stuff. We saw Donald Trump, and we might talk with Sansol about this as well. We saw Donald Trump, for example, open up a new golf course on the taxpayer's dime. We found out from the New York Times. I'm going to do a little bit of a quick news coverage on this. We saw the New York Times reveal, I believe it was the New York Times, reveal that the Qatari jet that we received, it's going to cost the taxpayers upwards of $1 billion. Yeah, true fact. We're also seeing different things, by the way, from the Epstein files. Donald Trump saying that, openly admitting that Virginia Giuffre was picked up by Epstein, saying that he did not like that Jeffrey Epstein kept taking people from him and essentially equating them to nothing but property. So we've seen things like that. Today we saw again the GDP announcement. That was pretty crazy. And now as we're sitting here watching Sansol come back to his chair 30 whole seconds later, thank you, chat, for keeping an eye on that. We're hoping now that he is refreshed and replenished, now that he is no longer full of vinegar and other things. But anyways, guys, so again, we'll go back to the economy here. The idea that Josh Hawley is going to submit a $600 rebate check, this is also at the same time that we saw big promises about Doge. Don't let that go away because it's quickly trying to be swept up under the rug. Remember all those Doge checks they were going to release? It could have been like $2,000-$3,000 and eventually whittled down to a couple hundred. And now it's like, bye-bye, poof, into the wind with the dust mites coming out of the book. That's kind of what's going on here, right? So any kind of way that they're trying to do to try to drum up some energy about these tariffs is just falling flat. Absolutely falling fallen you. Not the way I meant and minced my words there, but anyways. So yeah, the economy is pretty bad. We were just saying, Sansel, and we'll move the conversation forward a little bit here. Did you see that Donald Trump opened up a new golf course at Scotland, Aberdeen, Scotland?
I have heard about that. But I don't know much about it. I know that there was a video, someone tossing a ball closer to him or something.
Correct. So they actually had, so there's two parts to that. The one is there was a caddy that walked past the sand bunker and dropped a ball, just kind of flung the ball casually behind him. Like, Trump cheats, guys. And I've heard some people mention who play golf. They're like, if you're going to cheat at golf, what else are you willing to cheat at? And it's kind of true, bro. Like, how low is your self-esteem that you have to cheat at golf, of all things? Like, and I've been looking into it more than I probably should be, okay? And they said that Donald Trump has a habit of opening a new course, and when he opens a new course, he'll immediately do a championship before anybody can sign up, play a round of golf, and claim that he won as a champion. Kid you not, that's what I've read. And then yeah, go ahead, Sansel.
No, I just I don't know what it is with these billionaires and their weird. I don't know. My ego's too high. I would be too embarrassed if anyone ever found out something like that about me. I can't make that joke here.
Yeah. Let me see if I can pull this up for some people real quick. Let me pull up window capture and I'll show you guys this video. It shouldn't take me 2 seconds, but to pull it up, let's do a news source. I'm gonna show you guys this video. It's pretty hilarious. Give me 1 second. This should be it. Here we go. All right, let's watch this video here, guys. Oops, I have to shrink this a little bit. Right. Watch this video, guys. It's hilarious. There's the caddy. Drops the ball right there. Okay. It's pretty crazy what happens. Let me go ahead and do that, and let's get back Sansel. There we go.
I just think it's incredibly cringe. I don't know. I don't have too much to say about like his Scotland visit, other than, man, this guy made himself look like a real PDF file. Is that the correct TikTok usage?
You know
he's
it.
made himself
You
look
know
real
the
bad.
TikTok language. See,
yeah, I'm trying.
this is how you know, because he's like PDF file. That is something that
wait,
absolutely
hold on.
gets
I
used.
could have said self-delete earlier. I could have said self-delete.
Unalive.
Oh, there we go.
Unalive is the
yeah,
TikTok
unalive,
word.
There we go.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll tell you, man, TikTok's I know you got a thought, but just saying, TikTok's a beast, bro. Because you'll sit there and like every word that you think you can't say, it's better not to say it. So you come up with all sorts of little different verbiages.
Little euphemisms.
Yeah. So good.
But yeah, I was just gonna say, like, when it comes to like the Scotland stuff, I don't know much about what's going on over there. I know that really, really embarrassing, just sitting with other world leaders and then answering questions about Epstein, and Keir Starmer is just sitting there like his parent is having a conversation about something really, really messed up. But the only thing that I know about Trump in Scotland is his mom is from there, and I thought that Scotland banned him from ever coming back. Is that true?
I have no idea about that or not, but I do know that he just opened up a new golf course there, or allegedly opened a new golf course. I don't know if it's a new golf course or a new section of the golf course. And that was kind of crazy too, because he didn't just open it on his own personal time. He posted it to the White House Twitter account to show. I mean, like the thing is, this is the crazy thing about Trump, right? Is that with him, corruption is out in the open, and every single day there's a new scandal that if it were any other president, like he puts Nixon and Clinton to shame times 10. Okay. Like the accusations against Clinton are like nothing on Trump. Nixon looks like a saint compared to Donald Trump right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane to see this. It's like, and it's so funny to me when I see people, and especially in my chat as well, sit there and go, well, Trump isn't getting paid. He's donating his entire check. That's cool. How much has his net worth gone up?
Making way more. Yeah, he's made so much money. And these crypto scam things are so like on their face blatant. I had considered learning a bunch about the crypto space and, to talk about it. But like at the end of the day, like I'm pretty sure anyone with a quarter of an ounce of honesty would say, yeah, no, this looks sketchy as heck. It looks sketchy. If anything that the Bidens did was even in the same universe as open and blatant as what's going on right now, I can't make that joke. It would be bad.
Yeah, I know it'd be really, really bad. And I think that's kind of the thing. And I want to take a second here. I want to go ahead and read chat because we got chat going here. So we have Calavra. Welcome in, by the way. He wanted them to not put windmills up, but they did it anyways, ruined his view, and now he's throwing a fit like a giant child. 110% correct. Sanso, I don't know if you had heard this or not. Donald Trump, while he was there, went on a rant about windmills and how it's in the way of his beautiful golf course. That was a real thing, man.
Great.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It's just like, at a certain point, I don't think I'm a particularly smart person, but you look at someone like that and this is such a different environment for me. I can't. I'm gonna get used in so much trouble, dude. Jesus Christ. Anyways,
you can't say Jesus Christ.
I can't believe. I can say he's my Lord and Savior. Damn it. But like, what is so unbelievable to me is it is so blatant that he's stupid, right? It's so blatant that this man is not intelligent and that he doesn't know what he's doing. He's doing things that the only thing that Trump has on his mind right now is his legacy. And everything else that's happening is just whatever everyone else is telling him. This will be good, and he'll sign off on anything. But like, he cares about his legacy. That's why he keeps on talking about the wars. That's why he keeps on talking about, the Nobel Peace Prize. But I guess he's so stupid that he can't even do that right, because think all the resources that a president of the United States has, all the access, like you can't do something good. Like he was bragging about getting a ceasefire between Thailand and Cambodia, and then it fucking fell apart today. There's so many easy things that a president could do to secure his legacy, right? Like even in a superficial way, in the way that Trump wants, but he's too stupid to even do that. So he's making himself look like, a child bad friend.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's crazy, and I'm seeing some of the people in my chat right now going off on Democrats. The chat can be kind of crazy and pretty wild. Asking about what Democrats are, super. Why are we not holding Democrats accountable? Name a Democrat. I promise you. Again, for anybody who's unaware, me and Sansol came on my channel. I don't think I have it still up. I do have that video. I think I sent it to you. When we first met, and I was MAGA, and I'll tell you, man, I'm one of the most level-headed people, and because of it, the right wing hated it. They hated that I was so level-headed. And this kind of goes to the state of MAGA, right? The state of MAGA right now is, if you are not willing to bow down to Donald Trump, kiss the ring, and say that he is my Lord and Savior, you will be ousted from the MAGA party. There is no place for you. That kind of mentality is extremely disturbing to me. And it's evident everywhere, whether it's on X, whether it's on YouTube, wherever it's at. I've even seen it on TikTok. There's people who are going and willing to go and defend this man no matter what he does. And that's extremely alarming to me. And then what I realized is very quickly, how many times can I sit there and go, oh, it's a 4D chess move. Oh, he didn't really mean what he said he meant. Oh, sprinkle a little bit of context in there, How many times can you use those excuses before you say, you know what? Maybe Donald Trump is just a piece of shit. Right?
True. Absolutely true.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of the thing, right? Bandito saying, yeah, let's not worship politicians. I'm completely with you. I don't care if it's on right, left, or center. Let's not worship presidents. That's kind of weird. And what's happening right now in our
This is what we shouldn't do is worship a president. What we should have is a president that's worth respecting. And that's something that as I'm hopefully in the next year and a half ish finishing my degree, I moved to DC and all of this shit's going on, and I care about my country.
Sure.
I went and I read about, I read the Federalist Papers. I read, constitutional lawyers talking about the Constitution. I think that there is something that, and this is something that I want to get across, and I think should be a broader message on not just like for Democrats, liberals, but for the left, is that there's something about this country that's worth respecting. There's something about this country that's worth defending. And there's something about being in a position of power in the most powerful country that the human race has ever seen that should demand respect, and it should demand a certain level of decorum. And I think that America has a great tradition of being more down to earth and not having this kind of monarchistic worship of a king, right? We call our president Mr. President, right? I think that we've gone a little bit too far with getting chummy with the president and asking him for personal favors like some of the businessmen have outright admitted to do because they just have access to the White House. Or we should have a president that doesn't embarrass the entire country on a regular basis. We should have a country worth respecting.
Sure.
Because we are a country worth respecting. We're just making ourselves unrespectable.
Yeah, Steve Primavera mentioned a good point here. And I want to be clear. I don't want to say a good point, but it's an interesting point. Do you remember the Obama years and all the bootlicking? So I do think there is some correlation between politics being injected into our daily lives being paired with online social media. I think there is something unique about it. We saw a lot of interesting viral movements happen over those years with Obama, and then we saw Occupy Wall Street. With social media, it really changed the political landscape, in my opinion, right? Twitter, we can think about how Twitter changed that landscape, and I think it really brought politics into our normal day-to-day lives. And I don't mean just like, prior to that, what was the most you could do, right? You go to work, you don't have a smartphone when you're at work. Okay. You go, you work, you come home, you flip on the news, you might catch an hour of the news if you're lucky, and then you go to your bed. That's it. Now with this little gadget doohickey thing here. Okay. And no, I'm not recording you guys. Okay. Not yet, at least. Or Donald Trump might be recording you soon. But now with that phone, you can be online, terminally online. I will admit, when I'm at work, there's sometimes I'm on my phone, okay? And I'm looking. Of course, I do this on the side, so of course I have to be politically involved and try to understand what's going on. But that's something that I mean, it's part of our everyday lives. And I think that's a pretty bad thing, too. I don't think it's unique to just Obama or a party, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't. It's not unique, but I think that there's a certain familiarity with the president that I think probably should die down a little bit. I think that people are a little bit too familiar with the politicians, and that kind of access is a little bit scary to me. But I think ultimately, at the end of the day, I think that what people wanted on MAGA, they wanted some like massive change. A lot of them are not great people, right? There were a lot of those people that we have seen over the past couple of years, but a lot of people did want change, and I can be sympathetic to. I'm trying to be a better person.
Yeah.
I can be sympathetic to easily to Trump 2016, Trump 2020 voters. It's a lot harder for me to be sympathetic to Trump 2024 voters, but I'm trying to be. I kind of lost my train
You're
of thought
good.
there, trying
I'll bring it
trying
back.
not to be too mean. I tried not to
You're
be
good.
too mean, but yeah.
Listen, we're a little spicy on the channel. It's completely okay if you have some spicy takes. But let me just say this, okay? For all of the people that are watching, all 18 people, we've somehow seemingly gone down this rabbit hole because we're not talking about relevant topics or current topics and current events.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, you're good. It's not your fault. So I want to bring it back a little bit. I encourage anybody in chat right now to, by all means, provide something if you'd like. We are starting to get a little close to the end. It's already 8:41. My intention wasn't to make this a super long interview, and it really, quite frankly, wasn't supposed to be an interview. It's more or less me and Sansol kicking it.
Chilling.
Yeah, and I think I've really enjoyed it. And the other thing I want to mention too is how I have gone in and I have changed my view on how politics has been. So, you know, I think that Trump 1.0, the first term, was completely different than the second term. I think there are some valid points that I may have saw on his first term that the second term, I am like, this is crazy to me. And again, seeing how crazy J6 was, that was my moment. That was my pivotal moment. I said, I walked away. I said, there's no way I can be a part of this movement. I think for the future of the Republican Party, it's going to be very interesting. I think Democrats need to seize on it. And I think what's going to happen is that Democrats, I'm hoping they don't drop the ball. And I've been really upset with how they're handling a lot of this. Right now, we're still back to that same issue where we have 6 candidates. The reason why Trump has been so successful, where the left has failed, is because of the fact that they've already knew who their candidate was. They knew Trump was their candidate for 2024 back in 2020. They knew who their candidate was in 2020 back in 2016. Right now, the Democrats, we still don't know who our candidate is. We're lucky if we have an idea. Right now, the best guess is it's going to be Gavin Newsom. Which, by the way, I was a Kamala Harris stan. I was really hoping. I was like, come on. I was gonna be that weird guy. I was like, listen, okay, I know everybody hates on Kamala Harris. I was like, I think we got a chance, okay? I had to be the outlier. And Kamala Harris, obviously today, just announced, by the way, that she is not running for political office anymore. Sad times, but that's okay. Fine, I get it. The lefties right now, the good lefties, okay, they're like cheering. They're like, thank God. So then I went and moved to Gavin Newsom. I said, all right, Gavin Newsom's my guy. I'm running with him now, okay? I'm going to pick winners. And I'm sure right now the leftists who are like, you ran with Kamala Harris and she dropped out. So please support Gavin Newsom. But anyways, I think that the left needs to coalesce behind one candidate. This idea that the left is going to sit there and have 5 candidates and we still haven't even made up our mind by midterms, that's going to be an issue. We need as much momentum. I disagree. You disagree?
I disagree.
All right, let's get some disagreement. All right, where are we going?
No, this is what I would say. I think that trying to pick someone and anoint someone this early on when all of the criticism around Biden and Kamala, Biden dropping out and Kamala being the nominee was an anointing being the candidate. Nah, there should be people making moves right now. I like what the Democrats are having to do right now to make their political moves to get in front. Gavin Newsom is becoming more demonic on the national stage. Josh Shapiro, Kathy Hochul, they're becoming a little bit more demonic on the national stage. They're feeling a little bit of fire underneath them because they know that, number one, something has to be done. Number two, they have a legitimate shot in 2028. They have a legitimate shot. And how best to be that person then to be the strongest Democrat leading up to then, right? If we have to get these, if this is what gets the governors to have a fire underneath them so that they stop letting Trump just do whatever the heck he wants to do, and then do it. Yeah, let Gavin Newsom try to outdo Kathy Hochul, try to outdo Josh Shapiro, try to outdo all these other liberal governors. Let the freaking senators Let them fight over who's going to be the most demonically rabid anti-Trump senator. Let it happen. Let them fight. Let them fight. Let them duke it out. Chuck Schumer's
Remember,
already capitulated. Get
stop
him out of
saying
here.
fight.
Vote
Stop
him
saying
out.
fight. Stop
Wait,
saying it, because
I'm-
now you're gonna have you listen. Remember, fight. Okay, was a big issue. Now I'm playing. No, I don't know, man. The idea that they're going to be sitting there and I don't think that they should be. I think they need to coalesce behind one candidate. I think the idea. This is the biggest issue we saw with Kamala Harris, right? We heard this
What's
too.
the wrong one?
Do what?
What's the wrong one?
What if it's the wrong one? Well, then we'll find out in 2028.
That's a bad gamble.
No, I mean, look, obviously the primaries are a big deal, right? But I mean, at the same time, I think that what we need is as much momentum as soon as possible. Donald Trump was a candidate before their primaries, right? If we want to get around two people, by all means, right? If you want to gather around Gavin Newsom,
sure,
right? But right now we've got a field of at least like 5 or 6 different potential candidates right now. Now, to be clear, Gavin Newsom has not announced that he's running for president. Okay, so a lot of people are pushing him towards that, but it's pretty clear at this point that Gavin Newsom right now is literally trying to build his resume for that. And again, I think that that's what we need to see.
I love it.
Yeah, I think we need to see some of this. The Democrats have a huge opportunity here to win because the Republicans are going to be left flat-footed because they're not going to have anybody to really take that torch from Trump. I don't know who can do that successfully.
You know, they've been positioning ever since the Epstein stuff happened, they've been positioning JD pretty hard. I've seen the people, the movers and shakers in conservative underbelly, media starting to talk about JD Vance. And I don't think JD Vance has it. I don't think he does. I think that 2028, assuming that Trump leaves office, which to be honest, I do think he'll do. I think that this was just him trying to avoid justice, and he also wants to secure his legacy. But I think that he leaves office in 28, and I think that is going to be an unbelievably brutal bloodbath from the primary season to past the election. That's my prediction. But again, like anything could happen. I don't think that there is any other person in the Republican Party right now that could stand up really to JD in terms of people being the leader. When it comes to the Democrats, it's either going to be Gavin Newsom or I honestly, the way it is right now, I think it's Gavin.
Yeah, I think Gavin's going to be the one that's going to take the torch. I mean, anybody who's going to... I have heard an interesting proposal that I was actually kind of open to. I'm going to run it by you. The best chance that anybody like a progressive has to get anywhere meaningful, I do think they have an opportunity in 2028, but not in the way that you would think. I think that their best chance is to throw in a Gavin Newsom and an AOC as the VP. Whereas what you would have is a very moderate president, right, who's at the helm, and then you have AOC who's leading in all intents and purposes from Congress. I know that a lot of people want to see a Gavin Newsom, Pete Buttigieg run. And I would say if you're progressive and you kind of like that, I think AOC could be a viable VP pick. Now, you got to worry a little bit because we saw what happened with Tim Walz, but I don't know if Tim Walz made that much of an effect on Kamala Harris's campaign in terms of the negative. I can't imagine.
No, I think that AOC is not a bad VP pick. I think she'll be 35 by the time. I
think she's already 35, isn't she?
Oh, you know what? She probably is. But
yeah, she's 35 right now.
Running for president. I could see her making a bid for it, at least in the primaries, just to like push someone to do something and go for that VP spot. I really do like Pete. Man, I don't understand the hate for Pete. He is so unbelievably genuine. He reminds me so much of people that I knew growing up who are now, they're working in government. They're doing good things by anyone's metric. And I've never really had a negative opinion of Pete outside of I was a really big Bernie guy in 2020.
Yeah, I think Pete would be a decent candidate just because I think he could hold his own. I think it'd be hilarious to watch him. And then I guess that raises a better question. Let's assume JD Vance were to run as president. Who would be the VP pick for Vance? I can't think of I'm already having a hard enough time trying to figure out who the presidential pick would be in 2028.
It could be.
It'd probably be like, I don't know. I feel like it'd be almost a no-no.
Or the what's his name? Robot Ron. What's his last name? Fuck.
Oh, Ron Paul.
No, Robot Ron from Florida.
Oh,
what's
Ron
his name?
DeSantis. Ron DeSantis.
Yeah, Jesus Christ! I could not. I don't know why I couldn't remember his name.
Oh God.
But yeah, no. Let me look at your chat really quick. I just want to know what they say.
Oh, dude, they're all over the
Definitely
place.
Run AOC.
Yeah, they're all screaming that they should be running. We should run AOC because then they would have a surefire chance at winning. I think it's hilarious to see some of the MAGA right now overconfident in Trump's big 1% win, and so big of a win, by the way, that he has struggled to pass legislation through that JD Vance has had to cast 7 tie-breaking votes already. Okay, so and real quick, I'm gonna make sure I cover this before MAGA sits there and goes, well, what about Kamala Harris? If they're smart enough, they would rebut me by saying, well, what about Kamala Harris's tie-breaking votes? That's great. I'm not bragging about the big gap that Joe Biden won. Okay, this is the funny thing about it too. MAGA will do this time and time again. Well, they'll go, well, what about Joe Biden? Why didn't Joe Biden release the files? Because Joe Biden didn't run on the files, and secondly, why didn't Republicans push for it? Right? We kind of went over that a little bit, and I think I looked into that. There was that one lady, I think Marsha Blackburn, who tried to release some of the files, but it wasn't even that they voted on releasing the files. It was to bring a vote to the committee for something to do with Epstein.
Yeah, there was all sorts of stupid stuff like that. Yeah.
Weezar said, been a long time since a Republican won the popular vote. That speaks a lot. It kind of does. I think Donald Trump won, I think, this election of the popular vote, but only by a hair. He brags about stealing all the profit and declaring bankruptcy, criminal theft. Yeah, that's the crazy thing too about Donald Trump, right? Donald Trump has been it's so funny to me to hear about how there's so much about law and order, yet they hired they hired a convicted felon. Okay. Not just a felon, but a felon convicted of fraud. So there's that.
There's one thing that I think I'm going to try and adjust a lot of my arguments around, because a lot of the time that we are arguing against these things, we're like, the guy's a felon. We agree that he's a felon, right? But we argue so much from the worldview that we grew up in, but they don't agree with this worldview. They don't care if the policies that Trump puts out are economically good, really. Like, it's good if they are economically good, and they'll make those arguments and they'll argue about how good. Really, at the end of the day, if the GDP goes down, they don't care, right? At the end of the day, if we lose oil jobs, they don't really care, because that's not what the underlying intention behind MAGA right now is. I haven't fully fleshed this idea out in my head, but it feels to me, just to kind of condense this thought, it feels to me like they identified so closely with Trump. They put so much of themselves into the MAGA movement, into defending him, into believing what he said, that the prosecutions of him, however legitimate, felt like they literally were getting, like, they felt like it was a full-on persecution of the Republican base of this country. The Bidens were coming after them, and I don't think that I think I heard people say stuff like that at the time, but I thought it was so ridiculous it couldn't be the case. But I think that especially now, especially with the stuff that we've been seeing, people are trying to like a little bit distance themselves away, because now he's the PDF file guy, and it's a little bit harder to identify with that guy. It's a little bit harder to identify with the guy that's throwing banquets that you have to spend, $30,000 into his personal, wallet to attend. People don't feel as connected to that. I think that's the ultimate downfall of MAGA, really.
Yeah, I think you're 100% on point. And what I'm going to say too is that I think MAGA is going to really collapse because there's only so much. And I do think a lot of them there's a lot of boomers in there. I'm just saying. Okay. And the boomers are kind of the aging population. I saw an interesting statistic too that showed that there's actually surprisingly a lot of boomers, like actual boomers, not like me saying this in a derogatory remark. There's a ton that are still sitting in Congress right now. Our Congress is old, people. Okay, it's ridiculous. And then I think it's Gen X. That's the one from like right after the boomers or whatever it is.
Yep.
They're also pretty heavily in there as well. So we need a younger Congress, in my opinion. Watching them talk about technology is like nails on a chalkboard. It is cringe and hilarious. But what I want to say this, I don't want to keep Sansol for much longer. It's already 9 o'clock or my time, which I'm sure it's yours. I do want to get one last question in here for you. And I want to talk to you about the Texas gerrymandering thing. This hits a little bit home for both of us, right? What are your thoughts on this Texas gerrymandering issue going on, if you have any opinion at all?
Yeah, listen, gerrymandering is a thing, and I don't think that there's any good solution to it. I've been blackpilled on solving gerrymandering. I'm sure someone's come up with a really cool, novel idea on how to solve it, but partisan gerrymandering doesn't seem like a really solvable issue. However, mid-districting or mid-decade redistricting, on the other hand, I think that if Texas is actually serious, they've proposed this map, they're going to put it out. They're going to get rid of 8 Democratic seats in the Senate, in the House. And there are a lot of blue seats that could be made in places like California or in New York or in Pennsylvania or in Michigan or in any of the other states that are held by blue governors and blue legislatures and blue Supreme Courts. So I don't very genuinely, I don't like the idea. Okay. Very genuinely. But the Republicans, they changed the game. They changed the game in 2016. They changed the game in 2020. And I'm tired of saying that we should be playing by 2016 rules now. I'm fine with updating the rules.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the way that they're playing right now in Texas is really dirty. It's extremely dirty, and I think that Democrats ought to play.
It's cucked, is what it is.
Oh yeah.
Let's be absolutely clear. Every single time Donald Trump tells them to get down on their knees, they drop to their knees and open their mouth. They are ready for it. It is actually disgusting for a political party and an ideology so hell-bent on never being made subservient to anyone else, how much cum guzzling you guys do. It is disgusting to me.
Come on now, Sanso. Look, listen, guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find like a little soundboard, and anytime Sanso says something, I'm just going to go beep, 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 beep. It's going to be like an endless beeping session.
It's got to destroy my ears. Yeah.
Listen, all right. Listen, this is why... We're trying to go higher in the algorithm, and I've noticed anytime Sansel says one tiny cuss word, we drop by 20 viewers. I'm just saying, okay? But no, I get what
I'm a liability, and I understand.
No, you're not a liability.
This is the ultimate point. This is the ultimate point, right? If you are going to advocate for the most hardcore version of partisan politics, then you get no room to complain whatsoever when partisan politics happens back to you. I don't care if you're a Democrat and you're going to cry about decorum. I don't care if you're a Republican and you're going to talk about Democrats rigging the election. Look who's starting it, motherfucker. It's literally Donald Trump, literally telling them, find as many seats as you can in Texas. This is what they did. I don't care if California does it.
There you go. Yeah. And I'll say this, I call him my friend, Isaiah Martin. He is a guy that's running for Sheila Jackson Lee's former congressional district. He went to the state capitol, raised the ruckus because he said, look, history will remember you, got manhandled out of the chambers and was arrested and actually charged with resisting arrest. Well, sorry, they were going to charge him with resisting arrest and ended up dropping the charges. So they what they did was essentially try to take him out of there just to kind of silence his voice. That's the way I look at it. But guys, I don't want to hold sound so much longer. It's already 9 o'clock. And so what I want to do real quick is it's never too late to hit the like, subscribe, notification bell. Please do that. Please go to Sansol's stream as well. Okay. give him a like as well. Give him a subscription as well. I want to thank Sansel. Sansel, I'll let you give an outro, and then we'll kind of move on from there.
All right. Hey, man, thanks for having me on. I'm Sansel. This is the first guy I ever debated on stream. I've been streaming for 5 years now, so that's pretty crazy. But yeah, I'm Sansel. It's SOND. I'm pretty accessible. If you don't like anything that I've said today, if you want to talk about it, I'm pretty accessible. You can always jump into my Discord. We can have a conversation. If you like what I said, obviously you did. It's because I'm so pretty. Yeah, follow me there. Follow me on Twitch, whatever. Yeah, and I'll catch you later, my man.
All right, later, Sansel.
Oh wait, you know what? You give a little shout out to yourself.
Yes, I'll give you. Yeah, so my name is Vince Wilson, guys. For anyone who is new to my channel or Sansel's channel, I stream Wednesdays and Fridays at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Next week, I will be traveling. I ought to mention this now. Next week, I will be traveling, which means I will be doing TikTok lives. I will not be able to do any YouTube short streams, just as a heads up. So if you want to catch me next week, that's where you're going to find me. And I will be probably streaming at least Wednesday and Friday, if not Monday, to add in there as well. So just go to TikTok, follow me there. I'm on all platforms. You can see up here, if you're watching this vertically, on Twitch, YouTube, Blue Sky. Okay. I'm out there too. Don't post on it much at all. But I'm on all those. So I appreciate it, Sansel. And, have a good night, man, and we will talk to you later, brother, man.
All right, catch you later, brother.
Later, bro. All right, guys. So that was awesome. It was a pleasure speaking with Sansel. Guys, you guys have been great. All of you guys who have hit the like, subscribe, notification bell. I hope you enjoyed the content. We're going to probably try to do some more of those interviews. Like I said, I'm going to try to get some other people on here. I know we didn't talk much about the news today, but that's not a big deal. Like I said, next week, we will be traveling, which means I will be on TikTok live and we will be going over different topics then. I can't guarantee it's going to be as in-depth, and we're probably going to be doing more debate style stuff over on TikTok, but make sure you follow me there. Other than that, guys, you have a great night. Okay. Thank you for all the returning viewers. I've seen Dan Fry's in here, Calavra. I've seen quite a people like Wes, Steve, all of you guys. Wonderful people. I appreciate every one of you guys for returning and hitting that like button. All right, guys. Y'all take care, and I'll catch you guys on another stream on Friday, 7:30. Don't forget, Friday, 7:30, and we'll cover the news then. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please make sure you hit that like, subscribe, notification bell to get notified of all future videos, and I hope you watch the next video. Thank you so much.